One of the great secrets, if not the greatest secret of spirituality, is the Ouroboros, which is the snake biting its own tail. It's a symbol of self-sufficiency and of tremendous development. Most yogis and yoga commentaries see the autofellatio, the biting of one's own tail, as the goal of yoga. You see? This is not much different than the baby in the womb. The baby in the womb sucks its thumb. Also, there's some evidence in the womb that the baby in the womb puts his tongue to his upper palate, which in yoga is getting the nectar from the upper palate. But the whole idea of this autofellatio, which is basically the sucking of the thumb, is a deep secret in Judaism. You see? And for me, it would be a social transformation of the male homosexual desire to have oral relations with another man's penis. The reason a person wants another man's penis in his mouth is that he can't reach his own. If he could reach his own penis, a man would not want another man's penis in his mouth. But it's this desire of going back to the womb and having a thumb, which is the equivalent of a penis, in the mouth. So the whole goal of yoga, of hatha yoga, is to become flexible enough, bending enough, to give oneself autofellatio. If one can give oneself autofellatio, that's the prophetic position of the head between the knees, by the way. And it's the great secret of Judaism in the bris on the 8th day. And of the Jewish bris, where there are 3 functions of the milah, that's the cutting of the foreskin, then the peeling, the pariah. But then the most important function of all is the matzitza hadam. The moil takes the penis, puts it in his mouth and takes the blood off, which is no different than sucking of the thumb. And this male-to-male action in the mouth of the blood. Remember, the dam is the din of Adam. Second 2 letters of Adam. I mean, the last 2 letters of Adam. And so, what we have here is an unbelievable potential of how, I don't want to use the word cure. We're not curing anything of homosexuality. It's a natural thing if you can't do it to yourself. It's a transformation of homosexuality. It's the transformation of that desire to its true desire. It's not that you desire another man. You desire yourself. And that desiring of the self is projected into another man. But the real desire you have is to give yourself a blowjob autofellatio. I make jokes about this. If you do it in a car, it's autofellatio. This is a great secret here. It actually comes out of the letter Pei. You see. Pei, which is 80, and Pei, letter Pei in Hebrew, the way it's written, in the cursive, it's written almost like an autofellatio. And even in the regular, it's written like that. And 80 just so happens to be the gematria of Yesod. Yud, Samek, Vav, Dalet. 80. So when we're dealing in this, we're dealing in the highest aspect. It's not, whoa, hey, this is not like sex here. It is sex, that's the whole point. And my next set of videos will be expressing this sexual desire of Ein Sof itself. You know, when you put your thumb in the mouth, you have the four worlds of the four fingers. Remember, we only have 4 fingers and a thumb. We don't have 5 fingers. There aren't 5 amos, dalet amos, 4 cubits. You know that in Hebrew? If you don't, you have to. Look it up. 4 cubits of personal space. And what happens is, these 4 cubits, here's the physical world, the emotional world, the intellectual world, and the spiritual world. This is Osea, this is Yetzirah, this is Bariah world, this is Atziliyot world. These are the 4 worlds. See? You have 4 fingers and the thumb. So we only have 8 fingers, which is no different than the Hanukkah candles. See, but 4 fingers and then a thumb, which is far removed. Just like the Yehida. Are you familiar that the Yehida is far removed? So you have 4 worlds here, which correspond to the 4 letters of Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. And then there's a thumb that's far removed. So even when people say that this Atziliyut world is called the spiritual world, when people say, oh, especially women these days, they say, oh, I'm a very spiritual person. Well, it only means that they're into this. Doesn't mean they're into this. This is the, Adam Kadmon world, where the Yehida is, the singularity is. The singularity is in the thumb. The religious desire for godliness is different than spiritual and kind of like moral desire. You know, I lived in Germany for a year, and the people thought they were very correct, and kind of like moral, and, that's this finger, but it's not this finger. See? And notice how far this finger is from that finger. Now, yoga brings them together. See? But this finger can affect these other fingers. This aspect of the Yehida and the fifth and the Yehida in general can permeate the other 4 domains and permeate the other 4 amos. And what they say is, when you have an object that comes from this, it permits spirituality to enter into the four domains. However, I have something even deeper than that. The object is actually a fetish object. See? All objects are fetish objects. Why? The object is one thing, but there's something inside the object. It's the same thing with a fetish object in sex. All men have fetishes. It's what's inside the fetish, the sexual desire. It's what's inside the fetish, the sexual desire for the self, which therefore in a man, see, because a woman is Tunis, by the way. It's the bet inside the pay, if you know. A woman is Tunis. She always likes herself and her mirror image. Walk down the street of any city. Beauty parlors, nail salons, restaurants. Go into a Bloomingdale, see what's on the first floor. Makeup. Because she likes her image. She finds fulfillment in her image. Well, a man finds fulfillment in his sexual desire, in himself. This is the highest aspect of godliness. What's inside the fetish object. What motivates the fetish object. And then I tell this little story. Because, I'm a tennis player, and I was giving a tennis lesson to a very nice guy. And so we were talking, and said something. He said, he said to me, what do I have for breakfast? I said, pancakes. Oh, he said he loves pancakes. He says, but pancakes are only an excuse for me for butter and syrup. And then when you think about it, who likes pancakes? Pancakes is like a piece of bread. It's what you're permitted to put on the pancakes. Melted butter, maple syrup, jelly, sweeten it up. The pleasure, the ana in Hebrew, you see, the ta'anug of the butter and syrup is it's an excuse for having butter and syrup. So the pancakes, which is socially acceptable, International House of Pancakes, which they changed the name, I think, IHOP. Remember they changed it to like iBurger or something? Didn't work out. Okay. Pancakes are an excuse for butter and syrup. And all objects are fetish objects for what's inside the object. And that inside the object is some sort of sexual thing. Maybe an eros, maybe a thanatos, maybe a ratzon, maybe a pleasure. The object is a carrier for this internal pleasure, this internal connection to the self and the ability for, self-development. I have that every day because, I play tennis against the wall. And I'm doing a lot of spiritual work with this. And I brought it down to the fifth world. See? Where the fifth world has to be an object. Into the four Daled Amos, and there's three Daled Amos, three Amos of the body, and then the fourth Amos is the extension of the hands into space, and even with a racket, that's considered four Amos. So to get godliness, into that you need an object to pick up or to hit. So the tennis ball is actually the object. The tennis ball is the object that brings the fifth level into the 4 amos of your domain. And so the ball, now I'm doing the ball, and then I realize it's not the ball. It's the motion in my yesod of my hitting the ball. I get the pleasure in my bris area, my yesod, my penis, of the body motion, of the hips motion. This is what I'm looking to hit the ball for. So it's kind of masturbatory. Each action that I do is actually a to and fro of intercourse, if not a coming itself. So I'm looking to do this with my body. Get up here. I'm looking to do this. That's what I'm looking to do when I play tennis. That's what I want to do. I use the ball as an excuse to go like that. Oh, this is deep. The ball is an excuse. See? Just like the pancake is an excuse for butter and syrup. So this is the essence of what I'm working on. The 5th level, the Yehida level. See, this is true religion. This is kind of like spirituality. There are only 4 amos. There are only 4 fingers. As we progress, I don't know what I did there. As we progress, this is what we're going to be getting into. Well, let me do it as I started. And what does that mean? Just like a Nazir is a self-realized man in this lifetime, so is a yogi who can do autofellatio. He becomes the Ouroboros. Remember, in Judaism, the Ouroboros I have as the snake biting its own tail. Snake in the Garden of Eden, Nahash. 358 is the same gematria as Mashiach. The soul of the Mashiach, by the way, as it's brought down in Judaism, comes from the Yehida level. Now, if you expect these things to be normative, see, normative is what we have. If you're happy with what we have, then stay with it. Do you know what I mean? But when they talk about Mashiach level, they talk about like different level.